Hey, folks, welcome back to Real Estate Excellence Podcast with your host, Tracy Hayes. Folks, I have the best on the show today. I think she is one of the most popular, respected, and desired real estate education instructors in the state of Florida, and with hands down, we know the state of Florida has the best real estate instructors in the country. A good bit of the reputation nationally comes from our guest today. Let me read some of her highlights. Awarded Florida Realtors Educator of the Year. I imagine you probably won that multiple times.
Not just once.
Just once? Shame on them. Appointed to the Florida Real Estate Commission in 2017, which you're still on.
I was reappointed, yes.
Reappointed, excellent. And in 2020, you were the commission chair.
Yes, I was.
Professional member of the National Speaker Association. And most importantly, she is a lifetime member of the Smokey Bear Summer Reading Club, which we'll find out about that. She will go down in history, I believe, as a major influencer on how real estate and buying and selling is done here in Florida. Let's welcome the best, Patti Ketcham, to the show. Thanks, Patti.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you.
I am honored to be here, and I've listened to your podcast, and you are getting to the bottom of the barrel.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I think it's important. Everyone has a story,
Right.
And and I brought on some new agents that just brought them on the show, and because they had a lot of social media influence. I figured, well, we'll get the show out there. And you know what? I found out, they have a story.
Oh, yeah.
And it's something that another new young person might go, you know what? She did it or he did it. So can I. And,
Right.
And applied themselves to their success. But I want to get started. First of all, Patti, where are you from?
I was born up north, not.
You acquired that accent.
Oh, yeah. I earned this one. No, I was born in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So that's why I put a lot of syllables in all the words.
So I noticed on your LinkedIn, it's Florida State, not Alabama, though, where you decided
Yeah, well, I'm a graduate of FSU. My parents were both professors there. That's what got us to Tallahassee, is when the College of Business started and they were hiring, they hired my dad.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. What was you, again, I can imagine, I can guess what your major it was in, but tell me.
Oh, it was criminology and psychology.
Oh, is that right? I would never guess that.
Oh, such a waste of good tuition money.
I always thought I should be a psychology major. I love,
Oh, that part was fun.
Yeah, I love watching, observing people, and
Right.
understand why they do some of the things that they do. Have you applied some of that to your career?
No,
Not at all.
no. Well, I could train a rat. So, because that was the big thing when I was in
Right.
college is, it was the reality therapy and training rats. So I could do that. And I can't really think how I've used that in real estate. No, quite frankly, no.
Well, I could, but all right. So we got to get into the question because I put it right here early because when I went through your LinkedIn, or actually it wasn't your LinkedIn, it was your Florida Realtors kind of resume there. The lifetime member of the Smokey Bear Summer Reading Club. You have to tell us
Okay,
about
this is one of my fun things is life. When everybody else goes right, I try to go left.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're like, oh, you have to write these resumes and tell how you are. And I'm like, nobody reads that crap. Nobody reads it. So I did an experiment. I put graduate of FSU, and then I put lifetime member Smokey Bear Summer Reading Club to see if anyone ever mentioned it.
Right.
I proved myself right. No one's ever mentioned it until you, Tracy. But I am a lifetime member of the Smokey Bear Reading Club. I have a certificate that says so. It is signed by Smokey the Bear. And when I was 7 years old, I read 10 books on nature conservation.
I go in, I try to dig a little bit on my gas to find little things like that because that's what makes people interesting. And that's an interesting story. You're 100% right. I mean, people, you throw something on there to get someone to remember you. And when someone
Right.
sees that, I could see you being in an interview and someone go, well,
What is
what's that?
this?
They'll never forget you after you tell the story, right? Do you
Right.
believe that person had that crazy book club on there? What was that all about? They won't forget you. So you go to Florida State. You're studying criminology and psychology. I mean, what did you envision yourself doing?
Honestly and truly, I was not interested at all in the law enforcement part of it. That did not interest me. I was going to save the children. I wanted to be in child protective custody, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, back then, the way college was set up is you interned the quarter before you graduated. We were on the quarter system then.
Right.
So I went and interned, and it was awful. And I realized I can't do this. I would be crying all the time. I'd bring home
Tough.
every child. This is not going to work.
Yeah.
So it was too late then. So I just went on to graduate in criminology and then never looked back. It's just, it wasn't the right fit for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of found I was an education major actually,
Yeah.
and I found the kind of the same thing. And I kind of got in sales right out of college, went back and did a year teaching. I was in between jobs, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't. I'm old school.
Yeah.
These kids, unfortunately today, they're different. When I grew up, if they weren't in your face, it's because they didn't care. The ones that
Right.
were in your face care. Now, if you're in someone's face, you're trying to put them down.
Right.
It's completely the opposite turn around. Yeah. So, yeah, I quickly realized, that didn't get too far from me.
Right,
what
right.
I wanted to do, and I think it's a lot for. I mean, I don't know what the percentage of college grads that are doing what they actually studied. They should be studying real estate and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
As obviously a great income careers. You started Ketcham Realty Group. If I started back in about '99.
Yeah, about the turn of the century. Yep.
So, so what did you do? After FSU, learning you didn't want to do that anymore. What are some of the careers that you dabbled in?
Well, the way I got into real estate is my husband and I met when we were 14.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
And
could get married in Alabama, I imagine, at that time.
as long as it's not your cousin, you're fine. We moved to Florida when I was 4 or 5, so we're okay there. But when he wanted to be a real estate appraiser, and so when we first got married, we went to the public library, to the reference section, and looked up how to be a real estate appraiser. Wow. And I mean, this was old school. Talk about old school. And so he chose that career path and said, and back then you had to be a broker first. You went and got your real estate license, and then you became an appraiser.
Oh.
Yeah, this was quite a while ago. Yeah. And so we were starting to have children, and he said, we were married by then, by the way. But he said, you really ought to go do real estate, because our concept was you did it, he would watch the kids, and I would sell real estate on nights and weekends. Because
And then give him his orders on Monday.
Right. And so I took my real estate exam. 2 weeks later, had our third child. So I have a very different attitude than a lot of brokers do now about part-time realtors, because I was that part-time realtor for years. And this part-time realtor who didn't know any better, I mean, you don't know what you don't know. First year I sold a vacant lot, I think. And then the next year I was with you got to find your tribe. And I found my tribe the next year. And so went to my first open house I ever did. Wasn't even my house. I mean, I didn't have any listings. 4 people came. I sold 3 of them houses. I didn't know any better. I thought that's what you do.
That's just happens every Saturday.
That's what you do. And so I was very fortunate to not know any better and to do really well for a while. And it allowed me to be a mom and a wife and sell real estate part-time. But you have to sell real estate in the market you're in. And in that market, people look to real estate on nights and weekends. So I have a tender heart for people that come and go out of this profession.
This is a question I don't even have on my list, but one I often ask when I'm talking to some of the younger realtors that maybe are doing it 2 or 3 years and are full-time. How important do you think it is? I mean, you had your husband's income coming in. How important is to have that mindset that if I don't sell a house this month, we're okay. It may not be as good as you'd like it to be because you want to sell a house, but
it's awful that if
you're not eating if you don't sell.
Right, and I tell you, and a lot of this is just superstitions you make up. I still to this day don't know my commission until I know it's closing.
You don't calculate
Oh,
it. Don't look
no.
at it.
No.
Yeah.
Because then your mind owns it.
Yep. You're already cashing the check and you're already spending it.
Yep. I never calculate my commission until it's done.
No,
and when I say done, I mean I'm sitting in the parking lot getting ready to walk upstairs to the closing.
Yeah, from a loan officer side, for me, it's you can ask me like how many loans do you have in process, how many loans are you supposed to close this month, that are in process, should close. Work with a builder so they get bumped out. But I could tell you a number, but I don't look at the volume, which is what I get paid off of. I don't calculate. Yeah, I'm going to make this. I don't think about that. that will get deposited into my account.
Right,
The
right.
following month. Yeah.
But talking about being a loan officer, I did that realtor stuff part-time until the children started school. Then I went into mortgage banking. I was in that for 15 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. The 80s and the 90s, I was in mortgage banking.
So doing as a loan officer,
Residential loan
just
officer,
residential loan officer. So what made you branch over and jump into the being an agent instead of hanging there?
I'm telling you, and I mean this sincerely. It was you know how you have these defining moments? I was the first female president of the Mortgage Bankers Association in Tallahassee. And I was up there, leading a meeting, and I looked out and I thought, there's not another female out here that likes her husband and has children.
Interesting.
Because that is a tough career.
Yeah.
I mean, and to the audience out there, y'all need to pray for your mortgage loan officers because they are not happy. And there is not enough money to make it okay what they're having to go through. It's tough.
Yeah, no, I've been following in I don't know if you know Carl White, Mortgage Market Animals. He lives in Palm Harbor. He has a large brokerage there, but he really preaches the way he's been able to stay in the loan world is that he takes Friday, Saturday, Sunday off.
Good for him.
And if he's got now on Thursday he sends a message out to his agent saying, "Hey, you got somebody you're showing a house to this weekend? Let's get them pre-qualified now. Don't call me on Saturday evening at 6 o'clock, and try to get the pre-qual." Which a lot of loan officers, as myself, we want to make ourselves so available to that real estate agent. Because that real estate agent didn't get them pre-qual, but now all of a sudden Saturday night they want to make an offer, and we don't have the pre-qual to get it,
And we'll turn on you for an eighth of a point.
Yeah.
We have no loyalty.
Yeah. Or they're, I wouldn't say the word I want to use, but their client that's not so perfect and comes off the tracks, and then that's our fault.
Of course,
And then,
of course.
And then let's go on to the next loan officer.
No, I lived it for 15 years, and when the children got old enough to drive, I thought I can go back into real estate, because it's real estate, even though people go into it because it provides you freedom, which it really does not, but it wasn't, I didn't have somebody expecting me to be there from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And I'm telling you, and I mean this in all seriousness, people that have friends that are in mortgage lending, you need to check on them. They're not okay. It's tough.
I think I'm okay.
Oh yeah.
Both my wife has gotten into real estate in the last couple of years and is doing really well. She just has a very we're totally opposite. I'm a high D.
Yeah.
She's probably a medium D, but she's definitely higher in the C in this category. Attention to detail.
Right.
It's really fruited her referral after referrals. She's not buying leads or anything. She knows I'm doing well, so she it's snowballed. I told her to take the month of August off. That was her biggest month.
Right. Right.
That kind of thing. So you get out of the loan. You just went and formed Ketcham Realty, or did you go work for someone under another brokerage and then slowly move into Ketcham? Well,
the backstory to it was I was working as a loan officer to awesome people. I mean, I had not been thinking about leaving. I'd had that defining moment, but I hadn't acted on it. I was happy where I was, but we had a guy murdered in the appraisal firm.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and so that changes everything. So I quit my job at the bank to go in because Clay now had to do his job plus Mike's job.
Oh.
And so I went in to take off all the administrative stuff and help run the appraisal firm. So that kind of shook me away from mortgage lending. And then when you're able to get our feet back under us and get things settled down with the appraisal firm, I thought, well, I'm not going to go back to mortgage lending. And that's when we started Ketcham Realty. And for the longest time, I just taught and took care of my people. And people would say, I want to join your firm. I go, no, you can't. So, I still remember, and believe it or not, their license is still with me. 2 of the girls I was teaching came and sat down and said, no, seriously, we really want to come to work for you. Please, please, please. And so, and there you go.
And it just slowly grew. So how many agents right now do you have?
I think I've got 29.
29.
About 10 of them work.
Right. Standard numbers. So we talked about it earlier, people over property.
Yeah.
Where did you come up with that?
Well, I wish I could say I invented it, but it's rip off and duplicate. But because that's a concept that many real estate firms have, and it's just where your priorities. And for me, if we make friends, the rest of it will take care of itself.
Right. Yeah, I see too many. Well, of course, listening to some of the stuff my wife's on, and some agents, whether they're on both sides of the deal or what they're, instead of just finding that client, they're home, they're happy. Hopefully, that client, whether they buy another home, they refer friends,
Right.
that client becomes multiple deals
Oh.
on there just because you do the right thing.
Every time.
And a lot of stuff I'm listening in the podcast today is all about that relationship building and taking the time, build the relationships if you want the longevity.
Right.
If you're working so you can feed yourself next month, you don't always have that people.
Exactly.
mentality, right?
Exactly.
What you're out here educating, you're one of the most popular educators in Florida, if not the most popular. And I
Thank
think
you.
and I've heard you say you've actually gone to other states and
Yeah.
done some stuff too. What are things that you do to keep your sword sharp? I mean, are you a reader or podcast listener? What do you?
Well, I always tell people I work really hard to make it look easy.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of back work that goes on to make it look like it just flows. When I go to teach the GRI series or any of the CE, I know that stuff cold before I get up. I mean, you need to teach it if the PowerPoint doesn't work and all the electricity goes out.
Right.
So if you're using someone's valuable money and their time, you better deliver the goods. And so I make sure, and I've had a couple of classes where I've told Florida realtors, I go, take my name off this class because I just don't like it. And it's not the class, it's me.
Right.
Yeah, it's
you don't,
me.
You don't like the way it's structured.
Yeah, and I can tell when I'm delivering it, I'm
not comfortable.
yeah. So I don't wing it. It feels like I'm winging it a lot, I think, because I have a very casual delivery.
Right.
But I mean, I know what's coming up on the next page. So, and to be a good presenter in the education field, you better know that stuff better than anybody sitting in the audience. And always realize there's somebody in the audience that knows it better than you, and you got to win them over that they think you got street cred.
When you're presenting to some of these these agents that are just coming, because I don't know, my personal feeling, I guess, the angle of my question is, some of them just show up because they're required to take
Right.
Mm-hmm. What would you tell the person? Because obviously, you're like 40 some classes that you're by Florida Realtors approved to teach. You're out here every day. How important is it for them you need to have your standard hours, but you probably should be going and grabbing everything you can.
Right.
How important is that?
Well, I tell them, don't be me. I mean, don't be me. Because when I first got into real estate, that first 10 years or so, I didn't darken the door of the association. I mean, I wasn't engaged in it, didn't have a need for it, period, not. And then, and we always talk about in leadership roles, somebody asked, said, would you be interested in doing this? And so I found myself moving in that governance direction, kind of. And I think, oh my gosh, all the friendships I never made because I wasn't involved. So I try to really tell people, don't be me. Go out there at the very beginning and use every tool you're given, and you'll figure out the ones that are good for you and the ones that aren't good now, but you might need them later. Make friends with the people around you, because these fellow realtors are the ones that are going to seal your success or seal your failure. It's not your buyers and sellers, it's fellow realtors.
Would you agree that, I think some people come in and see other realtors as actually competition, when really, you grow from each other. And the energy around
Oh my gosh,
being around, obviously, you want to be around another successful realtor. I mean,
Right,
don't par
right.
yourself up with someone who's not. But
Right.
to go and be in that group, whether that person's with Keller Williams, that one's with Coldwell Banker, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Be in the room because they're top.
Well, and people want to do business with people they know and trust. buyers and sellers do, and so do other realtors. And I always tell people, because I teach a lot of the orientation classes and the contracts classes in my local board, and I go, Tallahassee is still a fairly small town, and if 5 years from now nobody likes you, it's you. It ain't us, it's you. So that ability to make friends and relationships with other realtors, you figure out who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. And it just is so powerful. And so if I can encourage people, like I said, don't be me, be better than me. Start doing this at the very beginning. You know, at the very beginning, you're probably not doing a lot of business. Get your butt in class. Go to contract class every time that door opens, because the strongest tool you've got is that contract. And I know NEFAR has their own.
Take the class several times, because you're
Oh my
learning
gosh.
inches and inches. You only learn so much at any one time.
Right. And there's going to be somebody in class that's going to raise their hand and ask a question, and you're going to have what I call the oh crap moment, where you go, oh crap, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Or, oh crap, that's great.
Yep.
So the thing that levels the playing field between the brand new realtor and somebody that's been doing this for years and years and years is that contract. And the one thing the new realtor brings to the table that the guy that's been doing this forever doesn't is this is a blank slate. That new realtor's a blank slate, and they don't have to unlearn bad habits.
Is there someone today, because obviously a lot of people look up to you, where you've gone and in your presence in the real estate world, and if we just look at the state of Florida, but is there someone that you look up to as a resource, someone that you
Oh my
still
gosh,
look up
how
to?
long have you got? I mean, just tons of people. I mean, people in Tallahassee that I just admire so much, people over here in Jacksonville that I make sure that if I'm here, we try to meet. I've been very fortunate enough to meet people around the state. And I tell you, one of the coolest things, and this is why I encourage people to build that network of outside your own board also, is sometimes people will be more honest with you. Like, I'm able to call a broker in Fort Lauderdale and say, how do you do your commission splits? Talk to me about this. How do you make sure you handle such and such fairly? Where in Tallahassee, that might not be as well received. I wouldn't feel as comfortable doing that. But I call Christine Hansen in Fort Lauderdale
Underlying,
that
you're still
fast.
technically a competitor in the little area, but they're not worried about you over
Right,
there.
exactly,
That's
exactly. And when I was setting up my real estate firm, I purposely did that. I called a broker I trusted in Lee County in Fort Myers. I called a broker I thought well of in Fort Lauderdale. I called a broker over here in Jacksonville and said, how do y'all do these things?
I'm going to throw this in here because it made me think of it, you being on the Florida Real Estate Commission and everything, and I know there's some things you guys are working on in Tallahassee. What are some things that you'd like to tell some of the listeners, the things that you're working on and things that you're trying to get past, I guess, in Tallahassee? What are some of the things you're moving on right now?
It is, oh man, I could do this for 3 hours.
I know we could. So keep it on the surface. Trust me, I know.
Yeah. One of the things that is critical to understand if you're chosen to serve on a real estate commission or any kind of commission or board or stuff that's appointed by the governor, that's your boss. And they can fire you also. They can take you off. So whether you agree or disagree with whoever happens to be in office at that time, this is their time to implement what they think is important. So what I'm doing, the long way around to say this, is when you have a governor that the second month in office, they have a deregulathon. That's what he called it in Orlando. And they said, I want all the boards and associations to come here because he felt very strongly that don't be a barrier to business. Right. I appreciate that as a business person. Bring it on. So you have the real estate community where many of us go, it needs to be harder. We need to make it harder. It's too easy to get in. I think we all agree with that. But then you've also got the political force that this is their time to shine that says don't interfere with private enterprise.
Right.
Don't necessarily overregulate things. So that's a hard balance to take.
Yeah.
And can I give you some numbers? This is going to blow you away.
Yeah, let's do it.
So when I first got into this, I started watching how many people were taking the exam. And it was roughly, and I'm talking the sales associate real estate exam statewide, it was around 3,000 a month for like 2 to 3 years. Pandemic hit, we went to 7,000 to 8,000 a month.
Wow.
Yeah. Now it took a while, that when it first hit, everything shut down for a while, and then we kind of opened back up. So last month, the commission met last month, and there were over 8,000 people last month in the state of Florida that took the sales associate
What do you
exam.
think? I have my idea, but what do you think? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think people were home; they didn't have anything to do, and let's cut to the chase here. They think I think the general public, our sellers certainly do, that when we close a house that cost $100,000, that I got a check with my name on it for $6,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they think this is good money.
Let's get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people go into it thinking the money is, they don't have the right, because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And so it appears to be a fun job. It is. It's awesome. If you're good in this, it ruins you forever having a regular job. I mean, you can never go to work for the state after this. So you would be a terrible employee.
That's why a lot of teachers become real estate agents, not real estate agents.
Oh, my gosh. And I'm telling you, give me somebody in retail, give me a school teacher, give me somebody that's in the nursing thing. The people that have that passion for people and are problem solvers make incredible realtors. But I think a lot of people, this pandemic made them reevaluate life, whether they wanted to or not. And I think a lot of them said, I'm going to go try real estate. And I think that's awesome. And you hear other realtors say, we need to cut the numbers. And yeah. Y'all, our best advertising is bad realtors.
That's true, too. Do you think because we are fortunate here in Florida, unlike a lot of other states, that obviously people still kept coming in?
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know it was before the pandemic. I know like 900 to 1,000 a day. Now, what is it?
I think it's a lot more than that, and I don't track that. But I can tell you on the Real Estate Commission, we have a substantially increased number of brokers, mutual recognition, coming here from out of state, coming in as a broker. And they'll stand right there and say, y'all didn't close down. My state closed down.
Right.
And we now have more licensees than California, and that's never happened before.
It's amazing, the numbers. I remember talking about that in August. When you're going in and you're talking, 30, 40 realtors, I don't know how many you had today in your class. No matter what the course is, what is your mindset at the end of the day that you want them to leave with?
I kind of want to tell them the stuff nobody else is telling them. Because there's people that can do sales way better than me. And there's people that can do marketing way better than me. But I think sometimes they need a truth teller that doesn't have a dog in the fight. And as I told them today, I said, you can't join my firm. I am not recruiting you here. Because it's really important they know that. And and it's one of the rules, as a matter of fact. If you teach, you have to say there is no recruiting. And I go, but y'all, you got to find your people. You've got to find your tribe. And we're like little ducklings, and whichever the first broker is that walks in front of us, we follow behind them, and we think they're it. And I said, if you're at a firm and you're getting bad feelings, you need to pay attention to it.
Right.
Because you're not doing your broker any good. And you're not doing yourself any good.
Right.
And I said, and as a broker, I have prayed people away. So your broker's going to be fine if you leave.
Being on my side, from a loan officer side, and I'm involved here at NEFAR, involved at the St. John's board as well, and over the because the first 12 years I was in a call center, Quicken Loans, Loan Depot, in a call center heads it on. So I really didn't meet realtors, but the last 4 or 5 years I've been out. I call it schlepping the realtors, entertaining, coffee, sponsoring, doing these. And you meet people and have conversations and how they're doing their business and who's that. And the new realtor coming on, I would take a moment not only to interview brokers, but interview who they're working with. Because you will find out so many of them, hey, what are you looking to do? Where are you at? This person's probably the best for
Right.
you because I've known them for so many years, and you know you're gonna get that person may be able to lift you from zero to something, and
Right.
then do what you want to do. But
Right.
you're just trying to get out the gate.
Well, when I have somebody come talk to me, one of my rules is you have to go interview with 2 other brokers. I mean, and I'll give you the questions to ask, you know, because that's old teacher coming out. But I go, you got to go talk to 2 other people first, because I may not be your girl, and it's not going to do either of us any good.
What do you feel? Because obviously there's things like EXP out here here in this area, Florida Homes, really, and they pay a lot of commission. For an experienced realtor, I think that's, you know, if you know what you're doing, you're doing your business, and obviously you want to maximize your commission. But for those really new people who might be even new to the area, moving from out of state, don't have any circle of influence here at all, how important is it maybe go in and split some of your commission and get on one of those teams and learn what's going on? How important do you think that is?
I'm grinning because I can't believe that was a fabulous setup. All right, so on FREC, we see the worst of the worst. And I want to use your time to set a couple of rumors straight that I think will help people. I will ask often in class, how many of you have been told if you use the word client or you use the word customer and you use it incorrectly, that you'll be in front of the real estate commission? And I'll probably have a third of the class raise their hand. And I go, I set you free. We don't care. Okay? I've been on it 6 years. It's never come up. Okay? We spend so much time, we're majoring in minutia.
Right.
Oh, good Lord. If you look at no brokerage relationship, single agent, transaction broker, the very first thing is to treat people honestly and fairly.
Right.
It's a shame we have to have a second requirement. So as long as you're following that first requirement, I'm a transaction broker. My people are clients. And I wanted to make sure I wasn't, perhaps I'm confused on this. So at the August meeting, because we're under the sunshine, and so
Right.
we really abide by that. And so at the end of the meeting, I opened to my fellow commissioners and I said, I'm going around the state saying this. I need y'all to tell me if I need to hush, or am I right? And they go, no, you can be a transaction broker and have clients. I said, and we're not going to nobody's going to get in trouble here if they say the wrong word. We're not going to take them down here at FREC. And they go, no. All right, so which leads me back to your question, because thank you for letting me take that time. There is a business model that's broker for hire. And you pay a fee per month, and you are under this broker's license, and they provide little or no supervision or guidance, okay? And it's called broker for hire. I was in a deposition one time, and the guy described himself. He said, I am a broker for hire, and I'm like, oh, you're not even ashamed. You know,
Right.
this is amazing. And it's a business model, and it's legal. But here's the ramifications for that, and we see it at the Real Estate Commission. They're not watching you. Because their business model is they're charging X number of dollars a month. They don't care whether you close
Right.
everything or not, and they don't care what you do.
Right.
But the minute you do something wrong, they turn you in to the Real Estate Commission.
Nasty.
So they can throw up their hands in shock and awe and say to us, I had no idea they were doing that.
Right.
We had one person that was a broker for hire that had to put the address of one of her real estate firms in her GPS to meet the investigator there because she'd never been there.
Interesting.
So I field a lot of questions, and I always want people to be free to call, because I think sometimes you're scared to call your own broker. You know,
You
so
shouldn't be, but
I know,
it's
but-
someone you should be working with.
right, but
Yeah.
even my people have called to the broker, so I can't, you know, because like, are you sure they're telling you the right thing?
Yeah.
So I do get a lot of those calls, and it is all I can do not to go, baby, you need to not be all about the money here. If you're in this for a career, I mean, if you're just in it for 2 or 3 years, make as much as you can till you get caught and then go down the road,
Right.
you're where you ought to be.
Right.
But if you're in this for the long run, and I can't say that, you know, but if you're in there for the long run, do it for the long run. Find a broker you admire. Go interview 3 of them. Tell them you're interviewing 3 of them. Mm-hmm. You're a grown-up. You'll know where you find your people. It's not about the money. It's about the relationships.
Yep. A phrase that I learned recently when I was listening to Carl White Mortgage Market Animal Caesar, you have to write little checks to cash big checks.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And, maybe you to get under the right broker because they're an agent maker. Mm-hmm. And has proven success, and you found this person, and you go, I got to follow that person. Mm-hmm. That you may have to take some of your commission splits a little differently for a little while to get.
And I mean, bless their hearts, people get out of real estate school and they think they bring you their resume, and you go, oh, boo boo, we don't care. So it's so important that they realize they pick the broker. And you got to find your crowd. And so I'm pretty blunt and up front, and I go, I've never made a cold call in my life, and I promise you I will go to my grave never making a cold call. Yeah. So my people don't make cold calls. I mean, if they want to, that's fine, but don't look to me to train you because I don't know how to do it. I've never done it.
I think it's almost more important to what clubs and organizations and things that you're doing are more important. And what people are you influencing? What you learned majored at FSU doesn't matter.
Right. And it's just, I just tell people, I go, people use people they know and trust.
Yep.
And so, and so I'm very straightforward. I said, we don't buy leads. If you need leads, you've come to the wrong place.
Right.
Because we don't buy leads. Because I know that what some brokers do, and see, this is it. I've seen the dirty side to this. There's brokers. This is stuff that bothers me because nobody tells the new agents this. All right. You got a broker who's totally motivated by the Benjamins. Mm-hmm. Okay, they don't care if you succeed or not. They're in there for the Benjamins. And so they will buy a chunk of leads, and they'll use those leads for 5 years. Some people are dead.
Yeah. Addresses moved out of state,
right.
Especially in Florida. So
and transient. They give their baby agents, their new little ducklings that don't know nothing about nothing, and make them feel bad that they're not
converting these garbage.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, because I mean, as a loan officer, some of them are actually able to get some of them on the phone.
Right.
And, of course, I tell them as a new agent, I said, hey, the first thing you want to see if they're qualified. Mm-hmm. Send them over to me because they're either going to step up or step out.
Right.
And we're going to start talking. We're going to get their credit, and we're going to see if they're even worth you even having another conversation.
Right.
And a lot of those leads, they're still working on their credit. They're, they're not buying a house anytime soon.
Right. So I try, when I teach, the one thing I try to encourage people to do is follow their gut instinct and be who you be.
Yeah.
If something doesn't feel right, it's not right. And it's not, and I always tell people, if it's not right now, it's only going to get worse.
There's that psychology major coming
Well, I guess that did kick in,
didn't
it?
You took something from that
it did kick in a little bit.
That is so true. And I think to me, personal development gives you that strength to see that.
Yeah.
If you're reading and listening to somebody's, they're going to tell you, that feeling that you're having is real.
Oh yeah.
And you need to go and follow it.
Yeah.
Or turn another direction because it's a feeling you don't want to have. Yeah.
Right.
So,
yeah.
What is your favorite class to teach?
Oh my gosh, it's the one I'm teaching to whatever day it is. But honestly and truly, I love to teach finance. Because it's a 7-hour course in GRI, and people just want to slit their wrist. It's it's like, it's finance. Right. And it was one of the first classes I got approved to teach, and I was very methodical about it. I looked and saw how many people instructed it for Florida Realtors, realized there were only men, which makes a difference, and I was the only person in North Florida. So I said, that's it. Because I know finance. I know mortgage finance.
Right.
So I was a DE underwriter. I mean, I got this.
Right.
And so I thought, I can make this fun. So I do an interpretive scarf dance when I teach my finance class on the differences between FHA, VA, and conventional, and they can't unsee it. And so they always do really good on the exam. So I love to teach finance because it ends up being a cool class, which much I'm dread. The NAR class that's my favorite, it's one I'm teaching here at NEFAR today and tomorrow, is the Senior Real Estate Specialist, the SRES. I love that class.
What you obviously are in your your groove. I mean,
Oh
you
my
just
gosh, I'm so
love-
lucky.
do you-
Yes.
If you had to like choose, I mean, and do you even like list homes anymore? Your team just takes care. You're just out. I mean, how
No,
much
I've
time
got
do
a
you
listing now that we had 3. We had multiple offers on, and during
you're
break,
working
I'm
with it?
texting.
Yeah.
Not as much because and it's not because I think I'm all that and then some.
Mm-hmm.
It's when I am teaching, I truly am off the grid usually. I'm useless until lunch and
Right.
at night.
Phones off.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so what I started doing a number of years ago is I always partnered with somebody in the office, and it was different people. It was whoever was the best match for the buyer or seller. So I've been doing that for quite a while, but and I still tend to do that because as sure as I get a listing or get a buyer, it's going to happen while I'm teaching a class.
Yeah.
So I've learned to always partner.
So you're in the classroom. You're in your world. What is it that just really inspires you? Obviously, you're teaching the same classes a lot over and over again. You're traveling over from Tallahassee, spending a night in a hotel tonight, or a guest at someone's. That takes a lot of time. But when you get up in the morning, what's motivating you? What do you?
It's
gives you the
interesting
juice?
because I still
'Cause
really
getting in front
like.
of people takes a lot of energy.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
It does. And I'm telling you, during this pandemic, when we start doing this Zoom, that is 100 times harder
Yes.
than doing it in person because it is all on you.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that was tough. But I really like my husband still. I mean, I really do. And so, but I love teaching. And I tell him, I said, I live in such a weird place because from the time I start teaching until 5 o'clock, it's like, this is fabulous. And then at 5:15, I want to be home. So it's that you got to trade off.
I always remember a story we had because I know we're running on time. When I was doing the instructor's course over in Orlando when I first met you, and I tell this story to all a lot of realtors I meet because there's a Ryan Serhant story with his book that he has.
By the way, I ordered that yesterday because I listened to your podcast.
Did you?
I ordered it
I
last
actually
night
forgot
on
it. I would have
Amazon.
sent it to you. I'll send you the other copy.
Okay, thank you.
Because which one did you order?
The very first one.
I'll send you Big Money Energy then.
Okay,
All right.
good.
But the one where you tell where your mom,
Oh, my mama.
your mom, and she and your dad had passed, and
Yep.
she's receiving the cards from the realtor in the neighborhood.
Ruby Carol Ann,
my
Cola
God.
Banker.
So
Yep.
the whole story is that she knows you and your husband are in the industry. This is what you do, but she wanted to hire that other real estate agent.
Well,
I always remember that story.
And it's such a powerful story because every bit of it's completely true.
Right.
And my mother is a retired college professor. This is not a dumb woman.
Right.
And they were living in the first house only house they ever owned. They built it in Tallahassee when I was 4 or 5 years old. And so she was in her 90s.
Yep.
It's time to sell the house. And I was over there one day. Keep in mind, I'm the oldest child, so I'm in charge. Because if you're the oldest, you're the first miracle and you're the best. Everybody else are spares. So I'm in charge. And Mama says to me, when the time comes, I know who you need to call to sell the house. And I've never been in a bad accident. I've never had a near-death experience, but I came pretty close that day because I could feel my spirit leave the room and float up there and watch and go, all right, do I nip this in the bud and straighten her out, or do I go for the story? Well, I go for the story every time. And so I go, oh, Mama, who should I call, thinking it's going to kick in here in a minute,
Right.
to help you sell this house? Now, keep in mind, this is the neighborhood I grew up in. I list properties in this neighborhood, okay? So Mama goes, I don't know her name, which is an important part of the story, but go look at Daddy's desk, and it's 2 huge stacks of, and it was a service you paid for that said, here's the sales in your neighborhood. Mom had kept every one for years.
Yeah.
Years.
Yeah.
And she said, I don't know who that is, but that lady really knows Waverly Hills. And she goes, now go put those back. And I said, yes, ma'am.
Not just keep one that has her phone
Right.
number on. Keep all 100
You
of
go
them.
put those back. And I said, yes, ma'am, I will. And I minded because I'm a good girl. And I couldn't wait to get in the car and call my husband. And I was like, oh, my gosh, you wouldn't believe what Mama said. Now, keep in mind, my husband's a real estate appraiser. I just want to point that out. She's known him since he was 14. and I didn't tell my brother or sister, just Clay and I knew this. And here's what I want people to understand. I was the president of the board that year. She had been to my installation. This woman lived 7 minutes away from me. She was very involved in my life.
Right.
And so at Thanksgiving, she brought it up again in front of my brother and sister. And my sister, who's the middle child, so they're screwed from the beginning, so they can say anything they want. She goes, Sue and John, I've already talked to Patty, but there's some laid out, know her name, but the cards are in Daddy's desk. That's who you need to call. My sister goes, Mama, when'd you start smoking crack? And my mother, who wears pearls and is very genteel, goes, why, Susan Carla, which means you're in trouble if you're from the South. Susan Carla.
Oh, yeah, the middle name.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah,
my wife uses that. Tracy Allen.
Oh, yeah. Ain't no coming back for
She
this
learned
one.
that from my mom.
Yeah. You just take your beating. Susan Carla, why would you ever say that? And Sue goes, Mama, what does Patty do? And I'll never forget, there was this huge pause, and Mama goes, oh, yeah, I guess y'all will be all right. And Sue says, we got this. Yeah. But I want to tell, and I tell this, and it's every bit of it's true, but there's so many lessons there because that's going to happen to every realtor. There's going to be somebody that you love and that loves you, and they're not going to ask you to list their house because they didn't think of you.
You're not top of mind.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. My mother, I was on the checking account, I mean, for heaven's sakes. So, and she came to my installation, so she knows what I do for a living, but for some reason, she didn't think of that. Right. And so I tell people, I said, it's going to happen to you. You're going to have to step over it. Yeah. You're just going to have to step over it because you're going to have, and it doesn't have a reflection on their love or their respect, but there's something else that's going to fall in your lap that you didn't deserve. So you got to take them both.
The story, and I haven't read the book, but the story about the guy who sold like 13,000 cars in like 10 years. And the thing that he did is every month he sent a card to every one of his customers. Wow. Someone told me they actually read the story, and he actually had 10 people handwriting thank you cards.
Wow.
Or actually what they were is just, hey, I like you. I like you. Every month they got a card from the guy. How could you forget his name? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They did not leave a gap in there. And it really is a story to, your friends and family will forget what you, you're still there?
Yeah.
Oh, you still do that?
Right.
You're embarrassed because they went with someone else. So it's because they forgot what you do. You don't, share with them. And it could be just, sending your business cards. Hey, if you have any friends or family, remember to let them know that I'm here. When really you're telling them. Right. But you're just acting like you're looking for the other person.
And so, but no matter what we do, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So don't personalize it. It's not about you. It's not about you. So you just, and I try to tell the baby realtors that, the new ones, this is going to happen to you. It's going to really hurt 100%. Your feelings.
It's going to rip your heart out.
Oh, my gosh. I said, step over it.
Yep. You have to.
Step over it, because there's a good one coming you didn't earn.
I played off for a long time, really, because obviously I'm with the loan, you get their credit and stuff. Mm-hmm. You see some other things that the real estate agent doesn't necessarily see. So I can understand some really close family members, because obviously I go home and talk to my wife. All right,
oh, sure.
I am guilty. I talk to me and my wife. We share stories, this, that, and the other. Because we grew up, we met at work. We talk shop, and that sort of thing. But what I found is, through my networks, through my Citadel Alumni Club, reaching out, letting people know they would rather work with you than another person. You just got to remind them what you do.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
So my big question here at the end, because I don't know where we're at on time here, but and hopefully you don't violate any sunshine laws at the commission. You've been doing this a while. I assume anyone would consider you an expert. I'm sure you mentioned doing a deposition in court cases. They brought you in. What are some things that are done differently that if you were Governor DeSantis, had the power to actually change something in our world of real estate, what would that be? What do you think could be done better?
Okay. And I'm going to take this and go in a little bit different direction.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk about Florida realtors, because we do have the power to change our industry. Mm-hmm. There's over 200,000 of us. So if we raise the bar and govern ourselves, it will take care of this industry. So I've been very fortunate. Of course, the pandemic kind of threw everything off, but I led a PAG, it's a professional advisory group at Florida Realtors on professionalism. And I mean, we had the best of the best in there, just how do we make this better? How do we make this better? And we came up with some awesome, concrete ideas on how to make it better. Because I think when you try to do it legislatively, that can be very frustrating. But if we do it within our own professional organization, and if you see something, say something, which is hard. We don't like to turn each other in.
Right.
Code of ethics. And one of the things hopefully the Florida Realtors will continue to work on is doing yet again another certification or something like that, where you can not have had action taken on you for code of ethics violations. You have to be a member of a committee. You have to have certain education levels. So it's almost a professional certification or degree. Because I think of the realtors that are out there trying to find a home and they don't know nothing from nothing. And so if you could go, what's important to me is to be in a really professional, ethical business. Which ones are those?
Who can I call?
Right. And if there's here they are, and you earn it and you have to keep earning it. It's not just the stamp of approval and it goes away.
The one thing, because I look at, I went your 40 classes, you teach GRI and all these different acronyms that are all in there. And
which none of them are on my business card, by the way.
Right. That's exactly what you see.
Buyers
someone's
and
business
sellers
card.
don't care.
Yeah. You're filling up your card with trivial information.
Yeah.
And you don't get paid any differently.
No.
That you're doing this really for your own.
Right. And I always say NAR one day is going to make me stop saying this, but so far they haven't. But even when I'm teaching their courses, I go, guys, I'm telling you, this is not this. The best you're going to get out of there is the knowledge and education that's going to help your buyers and sellers. The letters behind your name,
they don't.
My business card don't have any.
But it's not that turn down the education, because the education hopefully will make you a better, more respected influence.
Right.
Therefore, make you more money.
Right.
You're going to get paid the same as the person who doesn't have them, but you're doing that because you want, again, the longevity, education, your curve, you're more high. People are going to hopefully speak highly of you,
right? Because
you have this knowledge and you share it and influence other people,
And so many times, because I'm a student as much as I'm an instructor, and so many times I've sat in a class and had the aha moments where I'm like, dang, that's a good idea. And what I found, people that are really good never mind sharing their ideas.
I was just thinking about what you just, you said a minute ago, having that go-to person, because there's groups, those professional organizations, if you in small business in the local towns or so forth, where if you want to start a business, they come on in and you can tell them what you want to do, and they poke holes in it or whatever they're going to do. You're kind of suggesting something similar to that? Is that kind of a realtor coming in and say, hey, I'm new, this is what I want, to kind of give them some guidance and some resources.
Well, and I think the more you're around your peers, you realize who is someone that's trustworthy and who's somebody that shares your same
understands you.
Yeah, and I can't tell you how many people have called me that are going to start their own brokerage firm and go, how do I do this? And I tell them. And in my firm, one of my things is when you join, I expect you to get your broker's license. Because I always tell them, I want you here because you want to be here, not because you have to be here.
Right.
And and I said in class today, I said, y'all, if you're working for somebody and they're discouraging you from taking education classes, and they're discouraging you from being at your local board, and they're discouraging you from getting your broker's license, they're scared.
Right.
I said, there's your sign.
Right. All right, I'm going to wrap this. I call these my 2-minute warning questions.
Okay, I love it.
Referee football. You listen to my course.
I did.
So I took out the Jaguar question because I figured that wasn't relevant to you.
Right, it is not.
Is it more important who you know or what you know?
Who you know gets you to the dance. What you know keeps you there.
I like that. I like that answer. That's a solid answer right there. What are you doing when you're not teaching and selling real estate? Which is
Family.
probably like 15 minutes of the day.
No, honestly, truly, it's if I'm in town, I'm at my office. I really am. We are blessed to have grown children that have reproduced and have children. So love my family. And
Right.
and as I said, I still really like that 14-year-old boy I met.
Right. And to kind of go off that question, because of your time in the financial benefits of being a successful real estate agent, now those grandkids, you can do whatever you want. You're not, I assume you've put money away and haven't squandered it.
Oh, no, I've squandered.
Well, we all squander
But
some.
we've recovered,
but
yeah.
It's given you you and your family this, if you want to call it, financial security.
No, we've had some tough times.
Yeah.
I mean,
So we all have.
and
but,
I've always said, once you've been poor, it don't scare you anymore.
Right.
There is a power of struggling where you go, I can do poor. I've done poor.
But you've been through enough cycles too.
Right.
You save your save your acorns for the rough days.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And I was listening to one of your other podcasts, and they were talking about how proud they are to see their agents go buy a new car. And I'm like, oh no, stop. No, don't.
Or they need a new, we're gonna buy a new car because we had a really good year this year. We want a tax deduction.
Yeah.
What's on your travel bucket list?
Alaska.
Oh.
We made reservations last week.
Oh wow.
We hadn't even
Great.
told our kids.
Super. My parents are going actually next August.
Are
already
they?
Made they're going to go on a cruise
Awesome.
to Alaska, but that's certainly an area we certainly want to go out west.
Yeah.
I haven't spent enough time out west. I'm a workaholic, and I'm like, honey, we've done really well. We need to actually take a solid
Right.
vacation.
Yeah.
So we're actually going on a cruise. I've mentioned on the show. We're going down. I can't wait. November 20th, whole week of Thanksgiving. Not worrying about cooking turkeys.
Good for you.
We're going down to Bonaire. We're going to go scuba diving. My son's getting certified next
wow.
weekend. So we go down there and Curacao, which I didn't realize there's the ABC Islands, Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao. They're all sister
Oh my
islands.
gosh, they are.
So
Yeah,
you go
ABC.
to Bonaire, Bonaire and Curacao, and then back up to their things. It's an 8-day cruise. You only have 3 days that you're actually at something. We're going to do a lot of cruising with no cell phone.
Good. That's
And
awesome.
Just really...
Yeah, and it's
spa
so
and,
true.
yeah.
It forces you to unplug.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one of the best trips we ever took, and we did this last February, is we went and did, this is so unlike us, we did 4 days of snowmobiling on the Continental Divide in Jackson Hole,
Is that right?
10,000 feet on a snowmobile, and it was 4 days, and you spent the night in lodges. I've never sang so many
Please
hymns
share-
in my life. I was terrified.
I'm gonna. If you don't send it, please share that. Whoever.
Oh, absolutely.
Because my kids have never seen snow, and we're trying to figure that out. And that sounds like a blast.
We were not as prepared as we should have been, but we returned alive, and but yes, I'd be glad to, because
Yes.
it was. I mean, I kept telling Clay, "What's Plan B?" Because there is no Plan B. We just have to survive this.
Literally being out in the middle of nowhere in the snow.
Oh, we were in a
where-
whiteout.
Yeah, you can't.
It was frightening.
It's so quiet, you can hear the snow
Oh,
hitting
yeah.
the ground.
I mean, we saw the helicopter
un-
come down. The only way you got off is that they took you in the helicopter because you busted your head.
Right.
Yeah, it
Until you
was-
got to the other end of the. Wow. Yeah, you got to send me the details on
I
that.
will.
That
I will.
sounds,
I promise
That
I
sounds
will.
so amazing. But Patty, is someone listening to the show? I know you got your Facebook site, which we'll put in the show notes
Okay.
as well. What's generally just the best way for someone to reach out to you? And I know that you probably don't want someone to be blowing up your phone.
No, I don't mind. I seriously
you
don't.
You don't. Okay.
Yeah, and I always, in every class I teach, I write my name, my my phone number, and the email.
Okay.
And I say, like everybody else, email's not working anymore because it's too much.
Yeah.
So if you really need me,
Yep.
reach out to me. Now, cut me some slack,
Right.
to get back to you. And my memory is very short, so reach out 5 or 6 times.
Remind me where.
Because you had to do it.
Yeah.
So 850-545-5314. And I'll do it again. 850-545-5314. 5314.
All right, we'll put that in the show notes, and also your Facebook page if they want to message you through
Sure.
there, or just follow you in general. But Patty, it's an honor to have you
Oh, thank
on
you,
the show
Tracy.
today.
This has been
It's a
great.
great show, and again, yeah, we could sit here for 3 hours. We could probably do 3 or 4 episodes and actually just cut them up and just keep playing because we could go on and tell a lot of stories
Yeah.
and so forth. So, but I really appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
coming
much for thinking of me. I really
Thank
do.
you.
This has been an honor.
on. Super.